What makes an inspired woman? Inspired women stand their ground and speak their minds. We are the kind of women that bring about change and transformation in a massive way. Inspired women seek out ways to shine the light on others in our quest to serve and to lead. Inspired women are bold, courageous, joyful, and brilliant leaders in our families, our businesses, and in our communities. That's why we as inspired women can stand up and say, we live amazing lives and we love it. And we are so ready to pass that inspiration on to you so that you too can become an inspired woman leading an amazing life. Welcome to Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast. Welcome to Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast. And I am so excited about my guest today. I can barely stand it. This guest is someone who's near and dear to my heart. I've known her for quite some time, and I love her to death. And my guest today is Miss Pamela Byrd. She's a life strategist and journaling practitioner at Bird's Eye View. Don't you love that title? Bird's Eye View. I love it. She is a staunch advocate for women in helping them to identify their God-given potential. Ooh, love that. She focuses on partnering with courageous women who are ready to identify and remove the obstacles that prevent them from moving forward. She has a discernible gift for helping others to uncover their value, allowing them to move towards achieving their life's goal. Welcome, Pamela.
Well, thank you, Kimberly. I am honored to be on your podcast.
Yes, I am so honored to have you. Now, this is official. This is the very first time I've had a journaling practitioner on. So I'm excited. I'm excited what you're going to share with us about journaling. Thank you for that. So let's start by having you, Pamela, to just share your story. Tell us what brought you to this place.
Wow, I know. And how long is this podcast? I don't know. I guess I did corporate America for about 25 years. And I think I went through 3 downsizings. And it was time for me to take control of my life. And so I decided to start my own coaching practice. And so I got certified in that. And as I went through as a coach, because I've been a coach for the past, I guess, about 12 years. And I realized that a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, because I focus on women, were missing something. And so what I did was I decided to take what I do and call myself a life strategist versus a coach, because I help women to really identify a strategy for their lives. And so what you and I are going to be talking about is pretty much that one tool that many women are missing out on that can help them to develop a strategy and to live their life on point and on purpose and more intentional.
I love that. The one tool. Remember that, audience. Ooh, that one tool. I can't wait to hear it. I love that. Yeah. Thank you, Pamela. Now, just for my audience, so we'll all be on the same page. Tell us, what is a journaling practitioner and how do you help your clients walk through that process as a journaling practitioner?
Good question, because many times people they've never heard of that before. And basically, as a practitioner, you think about it, it's something that you practice. And because I journal, I am a journaling practitioner. I practice the art of journaling. And journaling is that tool that many women and men, but I focus on women, that they really miss out on understanding the value and the significance of using journal writing as a tool for being more intentional and for developing a strategy for their lives and just getting unstuck in areas that they've been in for far too long.
Now that's really, I'll tell you why that's so important, because when you think about where we are in this busy world we are in today, right?
Yep.
We're everywhere. My mind can't quiet down enough to think about one thing for very long. I mean, my mind is everywhere all the time. Journaling helps me to quiet that, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And there's one in particular style of journaling that helps you to do that. I call that style is called cathartic. And what it does, a lot of people don't know a name to it. So cathartic is the name when you take everything, write it all down, spew it out on paper, or regurgitate it. You get it out on paper, and that's what helps you to make more space in your mind, because you're clearing that out. It's kind of like emptying the trash. Not that your brain is trash, but a lot of the things that you got in there, they're clouding or getting in the way of the things that are really important. And then women become stuck because they feel overwhelmed with all that they've got in there. But if you start out with this one style of journaling called cathartic, that's going to get it out on paper so that you can clear your mind to begin to focus on the areas that are important to you.
I love that. Okay, that's what I've got to focus on. Okay.
Get it out. Get it out. And I call it take it to paper.
Take it to paper. Yes. I love that. Nice. Now you also, Pamela, focus on boundaries. And boundaries is a big word. Whew. And boy, does it have a lot of meaning behind us. Tell us what we need to know about having healthy boundaries.
Oh, well, I'm glad you said that word healthy, because a lot of times when people think about boundaries, they think of don't go beyond this point, or they think of a negative. But really, boundaries, when they're healthy, they empower you. And oftentimes what's really important for women to understand is that you cannot expect anyone to honor your boundaries if you haven't set them and if you have not communicated them. And so and there's two kind of boundaries that are healthy that you want to set. They're the internal boundaries and your external boundaries. Your external boundaries are much easier to set with individuals or others or situations if you've set them internally. Internally means you've made a decision that you've identified where the boundary is needed and doing what you need, making a decision to do the things that you need to do in order to set that boundary, so that when you have to set it externally, you've already set it internally, and that makes it easier to set it in other situations or with other people.
Nice. Just taking notes here. I love to take notes. Yes, very, very nice. And you said something that was hugely important, and I hope my audience didn't miss it, is that we expect people, the reason why people aren't honoring our boundaries is because we didn't communicate them.
Exactly.
We didn't set them, and we didn't communicate them. It's almost like we expect them to read our minds.
And then we get frustrated when they don't.
Yes. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking of instances like where I did that recently. And it's a funny thing. Okay, so my daughter, who's in her 30s, she likes to say this thing. Who does that? She'll say that after, when she's surprised. So she's got me saying it too, right? And so when I catch myself saying that, when people don't honor my boundaries, I'm like, who does that? I mean, it's like, did you not think of that? Who does that? But I'm expecting them to know, right?
Yeah, you are. To just, like you said, read your mind, or just assume that they are like us and that they have the same considerations that we do. They think like we do. They feel like we do. They do what we do. We assume those things about those people, but actually there's no one like us. We are so unique and extraordinary that in order for anyone to understand how we are unique and extraordinary, we got to communicate it. Sometimes it's not obvious, but when we communicate it through setting healthy boundaries, then we empower not only ourselves, but we empower others to actually honor our boundaries. So so for your situation, if someone's not honoring our boundaries, and one of the things I put in my, because I do a video series on YouTube, is I'll talk about your boundaries. I'll talk about, giving people an option for boundaries. That's the best way to set a boundary, is to give people an option. And what is that option? And that is, let's say, for example, you're having a phone conversation with someone and you don't really like the way that conversation is going because it's getting kind of offensive, or it's just something that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to address. And so, you say, what, here's your options. I'm really not comfortable with the direction that this conversation is heading in. So we can either end the conversation right now, or we can change the subject. So what that does, Kimberly, is that gives the person on the other line the choice, which gives them the power. And then you're off the hook because you already gave them an option. Now your power comes back when you make a decision to, if they don't want to honor either one, then you have a choice to make it. You either change the subject or you hang up because they're not willing to honor that boundary. So
I love that.
It's always easier when you give them a choice.
Yes. And what that does, in my mind, Pamela, it keeps us both at our highest level of power.
That's right.
It gives us the opportunity to both operate from that highest level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It becomes a win-win.
It is a win-win. And it's funny how you keep throwing out the word, the choice, or make a decision. A lot of times we lose that. We lose the fact that we have choices and we have options and we can make decisions. Isn't it?
Well, and the other key thing about that, Kimberly, I like that you put it that way, because we have to understand that people don't have to like our boundaries, but they have to respect them. And oftentimes we fail to set the boundaries because we're afraid of how someone is going to receive it. And when we empower ourselves through our healthy boundaries, it really doesn't matter how they receive it. What matters is that they honor them.
Right. Oh, I so love that. I'm keeping that one. But they have to respect it.
And honor them.
Yeah. Yeah. Audience, I hope you caught that. This is some really good stuff, because I think we as women, more so than men will just outright be like, all right, I'm gonna do that, and then they don't do it. Or they just say, I'm not doing that. But I think we as women, we get caught up a little bit in, she asked me to do this, or she wanted me to do this, or I feel like I need to do this. We get caught up in that, and we really we don't know how to set the boundaries. We don't know how to say, no, I'd like to help you, but I can't. Or it's not something I want to do at this time.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And it's a difficult thing to do unless you've identified you've been intentional with your time. So that if you know exactly what you had planned on doing, if you're being more intentional with your time based on setting out to reach your goals, think about it, Kimberly. Everything you did this week was gearing you up towards your podcast. Everything. So you had to be intentional about your time, because God forbid you're not there to do your podcast, right? Then whose fault is that? You take ownership of that, right? And because you've identified the time that you need to do, and you're intentional with your time, then you're able to do it. But there are people who get frustrated and they give away their time because they haven't identified what they're supposed to be doing with it. And that's where, the journaling comes in, because you want to make sure that you are allotting for the time that you have and keeping track of the time that you have committed to that one area of your life.
That's a huge point. Being intentional,
You gotta be.
with your time. That's a huge point. I love that. So love it. Um, okay, so we're going to take a moment for a quick break right here, and we'll be right back. When we come back, we will talk about Pamela's gift for helping women to uncover their value, and then Pamela's going to coach me a little bit. We'll be right back. Hey, Kimberly Wiggins with Inspired Women, Amazing Lives here. Have you been dying to share your voice in a much bigger way to make even greater impact at what you do? Are you holding yourself back from being more visible in your niche? No surprise here. I know many people who are doing the same thing every single year and wishing they hadn't. You must decide to take action right now. Nothing beats that. So, are you ready to share your voice in a big way? I'm offering you the opportunity to finish off 2019 like never before, so you can look back and finally see the people you have impacted and the lives you have changed. Podcasting can help you do that. It will allow you to express yourself and be heard in a much greater way so that your message can add value to the lives of others. Isn't that what you really, really want? Check out my Podcasting Made Easy program right now at inspiredwomenamazinglives.com. Let's shift things for your life and business before 2019 is over. Use the code POD for 50% off the Podcasting Made Easy. Okay, so we are back. All right. Pamela, before I get into how you help women with their gifts, I can't wait to hear that, because I've known you for a while, and I know how brilliant you are, but I didn't know you had this special gift for that. So, but before we do that, what has been your underlying passion for doing all of this? What drove you to say, this is, I want to fill that need for women, because I want other women to hear about the passion.
Well, it's simply because a lot of women don't realize what's holding them back from fulfilling their purpose. They have no idea because distractions get in the way, and we tend to be overwhelmed with the distractions, not even realizing how the distraction got there and what the distraction is meant to do. What that distraction is meant to do is prevent them from walking in their God-given purpose. And there's so many things that stand in the way. Our emotions are the biggest thing that stop us in our tracks from walking on the path that we're supposed to walk on. And so what I like to do is help women through the art of journaling, through the practice of journaling, to be able to identify where their emotions lie, what's their particular situation, and what can they do about it so they can get over that, get unstuck, and begin to move forward in the path that they want to walk in. Oh, you said so much in there. I love. But I've got to ask this question. You said distractions keep you from walking in your God-given purpose. Now, that's a powerful statement. Would you say that most of the women, or let's just look at all of the women that you work with, when they first come to you, do they fully realize that they have a God-given purpose? Not all of them, Kimberly. They know that they have a yearning to do something, but they have not yet identified it as a purpose. And they have gifts that they haven't identified because they don't realize that those gifts are given to them to fulfill their purpose. And oftentimes they allow someone to talk them out of it. So for instance, think about you, Kimberly. Think about how far you've come, right? These gifts that you have for empowering other women, they were in you all along. But somehow, and I recall you saying something in another podcast about what your ex-husband did. and what he said to you. And each one of those little daggers that someone feeds to us or shoots into us leaves a hole, even if it's just a pinhole. And what that does is that releases the energy that we had. And so what's important is that we come among women like yourself to help to empower us. And what that does is that fills in those holes. It closes it up so that we can then continue through these types of venues to refill the energy that we once had and begin to empower and fulfill that which God has given us. So, you know what? Those daggers, those holes, those are all distractions. But you know what, Kimberly? The biggest distraction that we women have is ourselves. Because we fail to realize that our power and our abilities, and most importantly, our gifts are there for a reason. I have a gift. One of my gifts is being, and I did a video on this, on Are You Too Emotional? I did a video on being emotional, because I take out the word too. Somebody may put that label on me, but that's a dagger that puts a little hole, and I'm not receiving that. And so therefore I say, no, excuse me, I'm emotional. I've God given me the ability to be emotional. And I'm going to use that because that's my gift. I can help other women to understand their emotions and to be able to manage, not control them, but to manage their emotions. And the way we do that is through different styles of journaling.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, yes. It's funny you mentioned that. Pamela, I had this conversation yesterday with my daughter because my grandson has been, when people tease him in school, it's a little bit of bullying maybe. Yeah. He gets very emotional. And when he gets emotional, he lashes out, but he does it physically. And so I was telling my daughter that just yesterday, that, not everybody has the same level of emotions. No. And he is, my grandson is just more, he's 11, he's going through puberty and, so right now his emotions are everywhere. And so I told my daughter, I said, really, the best we can do at this point, because we can't control what other people say about him. We can't control that. And we've got to get him to see that. And we've got to help him manage those emotions.
Absolutely.
And that's what has to be the focus. And, and one of the things I left her with, because she was really frustrated with the whole situation, was, I want you to take a minute and just think about it. Do you always, you're an adult. You're an adult with children. Do you always do really well with your emotions? Do you not lash out sometimes? And yeah. And she called me back this morning and said, Mom, why'd you do that? Because she said, I thought about that. And you're right. We got to figure out how to help him manage it. And so I love everything that you're doing, Pamela, because you're really, as women, we really need that. We need that help in managing our emotions. We really do. We really do. When I grew up, as I was growing up, my mom would always tell us that. She would tell us, stop letting other people control you with how you feel. She would always say that, but, and we never really understood it. She would say all these things about your feelings. Don't wear your feelings on your sleeve and all this other stuff. We never understood any of that. But as I got older, I did. So it is because of that programming, it has been easier for me to manage some of my emotions. Mm-hmm. But a lot of women, oh my gosh, they really don't know how to manage that. So I'm glad that you're doing the work that you do, because it's so needed. So needed. Mm-hmm. The biggest distraction that we have as women have is ourselves. Mm-hmm. You're so right. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you've got the journaling suite. I love that. I'm not a big journaler, but Pam, I'm joining your journaling suite just so I can come over. Can I come over there and just hang out?
Absolutely. You know what, Kimberly? A lot of people are just hanging out because they want to learn
Yeah.
and they just want to absorb. And my hope, my prayer, my desire is they start taking the information and they start using it and they start to learn some things about themselves that they never knew before, because those things are going to help them to progress, to move forward, to get unstuck if they just do it. Like Nike says, just do it.
Yes. And isn't it surprising how much we don't know about ourselves? We think we do and we don't.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I always tell people there's things that we know about ourselves that no one else knows. There's things that we know about ourselves that other people know. But I think the biggest surprise are the things that we don't know about ourselves that other people know. And the
Yeah.
only way we're really going to get to know what those things are, because people aren't going to tell us, and they're not going to tell us because we don't have the courage to ask.
Right.
But it's much easier, much less intimidating when we could ask ourselves the questions through our journal writing.
Isn't that nice? When you
Mm-hmm.
said that, my mind immediately went to friends of mine where I've said in my mind, oh, she's suffering from an emotional wound.
Mm.
But she doesn't know it. But she doesn't know it. It's the things that she doesn't know about herself that I
Yep.
do.
Yep. See? And she can uncover it if she had the courage to journal.
Yes, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening over in the journaling suite? I just love the name that it's journaling suite. It sounds like a lounge. I can just come in.
Well, the Journaling Suite is a group, it's a closed group on Facebook, and it's an opportunity for journal writers or aspiring journal writers to come and to learn and to just associate and really build energy around what it is that's so important about journaling and what they can get out of it. I got both women and men in the group. Of course, we're 90% women, and men don't really engage. They just kind of come over there, they drop by. But the thing about it is I have women in the group, women in particular, she went back and looked at her previous journaling entry, her journals, because I had done a beginning of the year in review. She went back and she realized that she shared what her findings were because she was identifying patterns. She shared that she met me 7 years ago, and that's when she started the journal. And she said, "You're all in my journal." Because I love it, because I inspire her to journal, and now she's still in the group and she's still learning things, identifying patterns about herself. And so it's a safe place to come and learn about journaling, different styles of journaling, how they can help you, and to just grow, to be able to increase in your self-awareness, your management of your emotions. And because you can't manage anything you don't see.
Right.
And if you don't see, like your friend, where she didn't realize that she was responding from an emotional wound, if you don't see it, then you can't do anything about it.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that. Now, I'm not a real journaler, and I've tried. But um here's what you said that made so much sense to me. I've always tried to journal in silo. I've been by myself trying to journal. You know what I mean? I didn't have a support group around journaling. I have someone to say, and I actually do this in a lot of my programs. I have a journaling component, right? Because I know the importance of it, but I don't really journal myself. So, but I'll say, go journal around this. I'll give them journaling prompts and say, journal around this. And I had an aha moment. It's like, that's what I need. I need a journaling support group, not just go journal on this by myself. What do you think about that? Coach me. Do you think that's a way
Well,
for me to get better at that?
absolutely. And let me just give you an example. One of the other things I do, as you know, Kimberly, is I have a crochet design business.
Mm-hmm.
And I crochet a lot of items, and it's a business, and it's profitable. It's great. It's one of my gifts. And a lot of times, if I don't feel like crocheting, I'll go into a group, a Facebook group, and I'll see all the things that they're doing, and it inspires me. And I go pick up my hook, and I start crocheting. So to have the support, to see what other people are doing, to be given prompts that you can act upon, those are ways that you can commit yourself to doing journaling and hold yourself accountable. And the reason that many people don't work well in silos is because they don't hold themselves accountable. They're not self-accountable. And so what a journaling group does, any group does that you go that you love to do and you really want to do it more, is you put yourself in an environment that inspires you, that moves you closer to doing the things that you really want to do. Another thing about journaling, because you said, Kimberly, that, I don't consider myself a journaler. You are a journaler, you're just not consistent in your journaling. And the reason that most people do not journal is because they don't have a goal in their journaling. They need to be intentional in their journaling, just like they are with their time in their life. And so your journaling is one where you say, what do I want to get out of this journaling? What do I want to do out of this practice? What do I want to get out of it? And you identify, I want to be able to identify patterns. I want to be able to identify why I respond the way I do when people say things to me. I want to be able to understand or figure out how to deal with that coworker that's just driving me crazy. Right? I want to figure out how to have a crucial conversation with someone that I don't let my emotions stand in the way. So when you have a goal that you identified through your journaling, then you're more likely to journal on a regular basis. Does that help?
Oh my gosh, another aha moment. Yes, that helps so well. Thank you for that coaching,
Good.
Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did. I even have a reminder in my phone that says, write 30 minutes a day. But it has no goal to it. It's just right there. I don't know what I'm going to write about. But I thought if I put a reminder in my phone, it'll make me just sit down and write for 30. I don't know what I'm going to write about. But that's why I don't do it, because it makes so much sense, right? Oh, I have no goal.
Okay, here's one. You got to have a goal, but here's your goal. If you just say, you know what, I've got in my phone an app that says, okay, you got to read, right? You got to write for 30 minutes. So this was what will get you started, Kimberly. What did I learn today? Start writing. What did I learn today? The second thing you want to write about is, how did that impact me? And then the third thing is, what can I do with the information that I've learned? Those three questions right there will start any journal prompt. And you will be going for 30 minutes. If not longer.
That is actually pretty smart.
Because we all learn something every day, but we don't capture it. And so how can we figure out how to apply what we learn in our life if we don't capture it in our journaling?
I love that. Oops. I am journaling today, and I've learned so much today. I probably won't be able to capture it all in the journal. Oh, wow. Yes, that's a good daily prompt.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can capture all of the things that I learned, because you're right. We learn so much in a day. Wow. Yeah. Love it. Great coaching. All right. Audience, get over to the journaling suite. Pamela's got some good information over there, and she can help you out with your journaling practices and just uncovering some things about yourself that it's going to be super, super helpful to move you forward.
Absolutely.
Now, you've got this gift for helping women to uncover their value. Tell me, how do you do that? And what has that been like for the women you've helped?
Well, I think I gave you one example already with the young lady in the group, how she identified patterns that were self-defeating. And So the way that I do it is by helping women to identify self-defeating patterns, those things that are holding them back. And oftentimes, as you and I've talked about before, it's through sabotaging ourselves. It's through not understanding our true value and not realizing how our gifts have already been given to us and we've already got everything right inside of us. And so what journaling does is it gives you different journaling styles to help you uncover those things, and they empower you. And so whenever someone comes to me, well, any of my clients, it's mandatory that they journal. Absolutely.
Oh, gotcha.
And here's the other mandatory thing. They have to come back and share what they learned, what they got out of that, because that's a starting point for our next session to be able to build upon that. And there are so many aha moments when people journal, because it takes them to a place that they never thought they could get. And it takes them to a place that only their thinking and their emotions will ever get them to. And there's a particular journaling style that I share, and it's called dialogical journaling. And what this style does is it helps your emotions and your thinking, or your head and your heart, to work in concert. And oftentimes our emotions don't want to hear what our head is saying, what our brain is saying. And so the example of your grandson for your daughter, when he starts to feel that way, you want to stop him right there. She wants to stop him and say, what are you feeling right now? Because little boys have to be taught how to express their emotions in a healthy way. And the best way to do that is to be able to identify it through words and not with physical strength. And so when you stop him and say, okay, what are you feeling right now? I'm feeling angry. And then acknowledge that. I truly understand that. And then how did you feel when you lashed out? I felt good. You know? Okay, so how do you think that would feel if somebody did it to you? So you're coaching him through his emotions. And so because that's the way you would feel, what do you think might be a good way to handle that differently? And so what that does is it helps to stop thinking about the pain that he felt and see how it felt if someone else felt that pain. And so that's just kind of a way to help people to understand that your emotions are important, that learning how to identify them is key, and that's how you do it through journaling. So the head and the heart, I use dialogical journaling whenever I'm upset. And so my emotions are talking to my head, and my head comes back with a question. It's really coaching. My head is coaching my heart and really helping me to get through those emotions to the point where I understand through a thought process why that happened the way it did, why I responded the way I did. And by the end of what I call a write in journaling, WRITE, by the time I finish that write, I've come to an area of resolve and I'm able to move on in a healthy way. Or I've identified a boundary that I need to set that's based on a concerted effort between my head and my heart.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It makes sense. Your head is like your heart. Your head is coaching your heart.
Yeah. Our brain is coaching our emotions. Our thinking is coaching our emotions.
I love it. Wow. Didn't know that there were that many different journaling styles oh wow. So I'm going to learn a lot over at the Journaling Suite.
You're going to learn so much. And not only that, there are different forms of journaling within journaling styles.
Nice.
So you know how they say anything you're going through, there's an app for that? APP? Well, anything you're going through, there's a journaling style for that.
Oh, wow. Oh, audience, you better hear this. You're missing out on the best part of journaling like I am. Yeah, I love it. I love that. Didn't realize that. Interesting.
My journal is my best friend, because I can be intimate, I can be transparent with my journal more so than anybody else. And oftentimes we fail to communicate what's inside of us because we're counting on other people to hear it. And other people are hearing through different filters. And so it's important that we don't rely on people and based on their filters to satisfy the need we have to get something out and to work something out.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Journaling is your best friend. Like it.
Absolutely.
So, audience, of course, we've talked about the Journaling Suite. You can find Pamela over at the Journaling Suite in Facebook groups. And I will post all of this on the podcast show notes, as well as all of her social media links. And you have a free gift for our audience today, don't you?
I do, Kimberly, and it is a PDF layout of all the journaling styles and the different forms that are within each of those styles. And that is available within the Journaling Suite. So all you have to do is go over there and join, and you will have access to the PDF of all the different journaling styles. It's a chart. It's laid out for you.
I love it. Can't wait to get mine. And trust me, you will not be disappointed if you go over there to the suite, because we can really lounge out over there and do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a hotel suite. Wouldn't we all love to be in a penthouse suite?
Oh yeah.
Right? Because there's so many beautiful rooms, there's beautiful views. Well, that's what the Journaling Suite is all about. It's as though you are in a suite, penthouse suite, and each room within the suite covers a different journaling style that you can embrace.
Oh, nice. So I can plug right into the one that I can look at I can get my journaling sheet, and then I can look at what do I need to journal on?
Yes.
And then I can plug right into that room.
Absolutely.
Ooh, love it. I love that setup. That's nice. I like that. Yes. So so you told us a funny thing. It's really not a funny thing, but and I knew this about you. Pamela was a regular dancer on the show Soul Train. I saw the video. And she's actually a great dancer, because yeah, Pamela is a great dancer. I will tell you this. Turn on some music. If I had music on right now, she'd be dancing in her chair.
Absolutely.
Loves to dance. Yes. And she's a great dancer. So do you do that for exercise or?
I do cardio with dance. It is a great way to work up a sweat.
Yes.
And so I do it in the kitchen. I do it in the workout room, whatever. Just turn on some music, as you said, Kimberly, and I start dancing, and I'm going to burn some calories.
Yes, she does. But I've seen that video of her on Soul Train, and trust me, she looks the same way that she looks right now.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
She does. She hasn't aged at all. Oh my gosh. Yes, wonderful. Now, the book that you like, one of your favorite books. This is one of my favorite books too. It's Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Share with my audience about that book. What do you love about that book?
You know, Kimberly, what I love about that book is that whenever you go to battle, you have to know who your enemy is. You have to know who you're coming up against. So if you think about the military, you think about any war that we're going into, there's so much strategic knowledge about what the enemy is doing. Well, what Outwitting the Devil does is it allows you to know exactly how the enemy has come into your life from the time you were born to stop you from living out the reason that God brought you here. And Napoleon Hill had an interview with the devil. And a lot of times people think, I don't know if he could have here's my thing. And when he was alive, he wouldn't publish it. His wife wouldn't let him because she was afraid of what the backlash would be. And even after he died, his wife didn't publish it. I think it was when she died, the child their child had it published,
Mm-hmm.
and did some work with Kim. I forget. She did work with Robert Kiyosaki,
Mm-hmm.
not Kim. Anyway,
Yes.
Sharon Lecter. Sharon Lecter. So what Sharon Lecter does is she looks at the information from the interview that Napoleon Hill had and brings it to today, and how to understand how the enemy uses this for people of today to understand from even back then from that interview that that's exactly how the enemy works. And the reason I like it, Kimberly, is because in order to identify the obstacles or the things that are the distractions that are preventing us from moving forward in our God-given purpose, we got to know what our enemy is doing. And sometimes it's so overt that we don't even realize it. And so it's not until you read that book that you identify it and you have that light bulb moment, like, oh, that's why. And what that does is it gives women strength. Information awareness gives us strength to be able to do something about it. And if we don't know it, then we're blind to it and we can't do anything about it.
Absolutely. I love that book, and you said it dead on. It is powerful.
Isn't it? It's deep.
And it is very deep. And when you read it, you're like, oh, that's why I do that.
Yes.
Oh, that's why my kids are doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we can stop it.
Yes.
We can stop it. Absolutely.
You can be powerful by just knowing that, and we can stop it. It is a powerful book. Yes, it is a powerful book. That's one of my favorites too. Now, I love this quote. Life is like a chalkboard, and you hold the eraser to erase away old habits and patterns. Before you can erase, you have to see it on the board. That's where the art of journaling begins. And that's a Pamela Byrd special.
Yes, it is.
I love it. It's so clear. It's so concise. And it's so pictorial. I can visualize it in my mind. So yes, you're right.
Absolutely. And it's, the same thing I've been saying, Kimberly, there's things about ourselves that we don't know. There's patterns of behavior, or there's things that happened to us in the past that are preventing us from moving forward, causing us to believe things about ourselves that are untrue. And if we continue to hold on to those, if we let them sit there on the chalkboard, then we allow them to stop our growth. It's not until we see it through our journal writing, are able to identify it, that we can make the decision, because it's a choice, as you said earlier. Our choice is either to wallow in it or to do something about it. And it's when we empower ourselves to do something about it, when we make that decision, when we make that choice, then we hold the eraser and we can erase it away so that we don't have to live our lives based on those old patterns or those scars that someone left on us.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I will use that quote, Pamela, because when I send you your gift for being on the show, you see your quote will be right on it. It'll awesome. Be so nice. Oh, wow.
Very, appreciate it. That's exciting.
Yes, your quote will be right on it. So thank you for coming out today. You have shared from the heart, and I can feel it. Just sharing from the heart with my audience. You've shared so much information. If you will, before we wrap this up, if you will give my audience one action tip that they can take away today and use in their life.
I would love to. And that action step is to go to the journaling suite. Go there so that you can begin being intentional with your journal writing, and you can really discover the art of journaling. Go in there, be a part of it, engage, ask questions. I have a place in there under files that has a lot of information. I have everything categorized as far as journal prompts, testimonials, videos, everything's in there. Give you an opportunity to really delve into what journaling is. And just like I go into my crochet groups, you'll look in that group and you'll say, ooh, I want to journal. This is good stuff. And let me know what you come up with. I love to hear how people are learning and growing because of their commitment to journaling. So come over to the
Right.
group. And my other thing is just write. Just start writing, and make a commitment. Be intentional with your journaling and set a goal as to what you want to get out of it. And that PDF that you're going to find there in the group is going to help you, like you said, Kimberly. I can go look in there. I can look at that and see what it does and what I'm going through. I'll know exactly where to start. And that's how I
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Thank you so much, my friend, for being here today and sharing with us. You are doing some amazing things and you're changing women's lives and giving them transformation that they didn't have before. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to share. It's an amazing, amazing tool. And I hope everybody picks it up and starts using it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, audience, for being here today. Make sure that you like and share and comment on this episode so that you can inspire another woman to start journaling. That's the key. So have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of Inspired Women, Amazing Lives podcast. Until we meet again, I urge you as an inspired woman to seek out ways to inspire and lead the other women in your circle. Please share this episode with another woman that you would love to inspire or someone who has inspired you. Feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, and remember, always thrive, inspire, lead.